So in this video, I want to talk about what the Bible says about not gang stalking, but about evil, like how evil can take over entire communities and all that stuff. What I want to do is try and connect gang stalking with the Bible so that you guys might have a better understanding of gang stalking, or at least my theory on gang stalking. Okay, so I don't have to tell you guys this if you've been on my channel for a little while, but I believe that this is a spiritual war. And I think that the Bible kind of addresses every single thing that happens spiritually. Okay, so like there are a lot of theories about gang stalking that are floating around on the internet. I want to explain how I see gang stalking and what the go over what the Bible says about not gang stalking, but about evil communities and stuff like that. Okay, so if you guys are Christian, you know about the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. You know about these cities. Okay, so in the city Sodom, I'm going to talk about the city Sodom, and I'm going to try to sort of explain like what happened in that city, and then I'm going to talk about gang stalking again, and sort of I want you guys to sort of see if you can make connected dots, or if there's a parallel there. Like there could be a parallel. I'm not saying there is a parallel, but there certainly could be. Okay, so basically in the city, so the city of Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed because of spiritual wickedness. So spiritual wickedness, basically spiritual wickedness is like when you've turned evil, or your actions are evil, like that kind of thing. Okay, so like it's like when you're doing sorcery, witchcraft, or just all that kind of stuff. Like it falls into like this spiritual wickedness category. So I'm gonna first just talk about the city of Sodom. So like in the city of Sodom, the inhabitants of the city had completely turned from God. And what happened is that they basically were completely evil, and the city was evil, and it became violent, and the people were evil, like all of the people. We're not talking about some of the people. Every single person in that city was evil, like completely evil. So there was one, I think it was Lot. I'm not great when it comes to the names of a lot of these people. I'm pretty sure it was Lot. I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. So Lot was a friend of God. Like he was still good. He was righteous. So basically, because the rest of the city was evil, God sent his angel to the city. He sent two angels. There were two of them to the city. So the mission of the angels was to get Lot and his family out of the city and then wipe the city out. So that was their mission. So before I go into this story, angels are good and they are righteous and they are like God, but they're not here for humanity. They're here to serve God. That's their purpose. Like they're good and they're righteous and they're what you expect them to be, but you got to remember that they're just instruments of God more than anything else. So like they can wipe out people and stuff. Like it's not like they don't have the same rules that we have. So like even though they're good and they're holy and they're all these things naturally, that's what they are, they can wipe out, they can kill and do stuff like that. So it's complicated, but you got to remember that these are spiritual beings. They're not like us. They don't follow our rules, and God is omnipotent and God can do whatever he wants because he's God. He created us. So I want to be clear about that. So the story I'm going to tell you might seem extreme because you don't associate angels with killing people or anything, but they do kill people. They can kill people basically, and it is not to say that they're not good. I'm just saying they're instruments of God. Hopefully I'm articulating this well. They're not instruments of God, but they're like they do his will. They're like they represent the will of God on earth. Or they just, I don't know, it's hard to explain it, but I'm going to go back to the story because I feel like I'm being sidetracked. So God sent two angels to the city of Sodom. And the mission of the angels was to get Lot and his family out of the city because they were righteous. They didn't turn on God. Well, Lot didn't. They didn't really talk about his family. So Lot was still, still loyal to God. So God wanted to wipe the city of Sodom out because every single person in that city was evil. Every single person in that city was evil. So in the Old Testament, they call that fallen, they call the city fallen. And what fallen means is that every single inhabitant of that city, or almost every single person in that city, is evil and is turned against God. And so like, and evil cannot be contained or controlled at that point. So it's like the place is just completely evil, and there's suffering and all these horrible things, nothing but bad things happen. It's just like, so good cannot survive that. Like, good can't survive that level of evil. And it basically describes it as an inhabitation of unclean spirits, meaning demons. So it becomes a place that has a high demonic concentration. Like, the demonic activity is just like off the scales. So there's like lots and lots of demonic activity. Like, demons are running around everywhere. You can't see demons, but they're all over the place. Demons are influencing everybody. Demons are just running wild. The people have all betrayed God. God can't. So it gets to the point where God can't contain it, or he can't really save anybody or save the city. So he just wiped it out. And this is in the Old Testament. So what he did is God generally will have some sort of presence in these places. Like, he'll have like a righteous man or something in that place, or an angel or something. I don't know. God, he likes to have his influence in all places, regardless how bad they are. But so Lot was in the city, and Lot was righteous, but he lived in a completely evil city. So what God did is he sent two angels into the city. So when the angels were in the city, they looked like normal people, and you wouldn't know they weren't normal people, because angels, contrary to what you've heard, most angels are basically human beings, but they're angels. But you don't know they're angels. They look human. So the two angels went into the city, and it doesn't really go into detail as to how the people knew that there was something off about these people. So what the Bible basically says is that every single person in the city knew that these angels were in that city, but they didn't say that they knew they were angels, but they knew that they were in the city. So basically, what happened is that every single person in the city got like riled up when the angels entered the city. And they knew that they knew the angels, because they were all like talking with each other. They were all communicating with each other. Like, the people in the city were kind of like, going door to door and just talking and being like, who are those men? Who are those men? We don't like these men. So basically what this Bible suggests is that there was something about these men, something about those angels that the people did not like. And it triggered them. Like, they were triggered by the presence of the angels, to the point where they all got together and they went to Lot's house. So before they went to Lot's house, Lot basically tells the angels that he wants them to come into his house and and eat with him and hang with him and everything. And one of the angels was like, "Nah, we probably shouldn't do that. We're just going to go ahead and sleep outside." But Lot insists, and they begrudgingly agreed to it. They were like, "Okay, we're going to go ahead and do it." So they go into Lot's house, and they said there was a mob. They said literally every single person in that community, in that town, was outside, and they were pissed, like completely triggered by the presence of these angels. Now, they didn't know they were angels, because like I said, the angels are completely human looking, so they had no idea they were angels. So they went to Lot's house, and they demanded to Lot to bring the angels out. And they didn't refer to them as angels. They said, "Those men who are with you, bring them out so that we can know them." So, they were like, "Get those men out of that house." And they said it was like every single person in the whole entire city. There was like it must have been like 1,000 people out there. They said like almost every person in the entire city was like super triggered by these angels. So let me stop there. So what that suggests is that people of God have an effect in fallen wicked cities. Okay, so if you live in a wicked place in a fallen city and you're of God, every single person is going to be triggered by that or affected by it to the point where you're going to cause a disruption within the environment. So if the environment is evil, so the city of Solomon was fallen, so it was a completely evil city. So God inserted his angels into a completely evil environment, which triggered every single man, woman, and child in the evil city. So they were triggered. They were like, wait a minute, we don't like these guys. So there was something about the angels that basically triggered every person in that city to the point where they all got together, like gang stalkers. They all got together. They were like, hey, wait a minute, who are these guys? We don't like these guys. So basically, so what that says is that God's people have a triggering effect in wicked cities that are fallen. So like, and it calls these cities inhabitations of unclean spirits and demonic activity and stuff like, Satanism and all that stuff. So like, okay, so basically, this guy comes in for like 2 seconds. He's a gang stalker. He comes in his building and he goes in for like 2 seconds and then he comes out. Well, I don't even want to talk about him. I want to go back to the story. I'm just saying. Okay, the gang stalker. He's a gang stalker. Anyhow, so basically, so basically, what's that suggesting is that if you are of God and you live in an evil environment, you're going to affect the people that you live around in some sort of way. So it didn't say exactly what triggered the people in that community. All it said is that these angels going into that city had a huge impact to the point where every man, woman, and child, like every single person in that city was just, got together. They all came and surrounded Lot's house. And so going back to the story, so when they got to Lot's home, they basically demanded that Lot bring the men out, bring the two angels out, and they basically was just like, bring those two men who came into your house out so that we may know them. So some people interpreted that as, they were going to rape them, and some people, they were just trying to get them out of the house, and that's why they said that. So that's all open to interpretation. So they start forcing the door. And so the angels of God did something to them so that they were all blinded, like they all lost their sight. And the angels of God, angels of God, they have all sorts of superpowers. Obviously, they're sons of God, so I don't know how powerful they are, but they demonstrate all sorts of abilities. So the angel of God blinded every single person, and they couldn't see anything, and they were like, they were completely blind. So the angels of God blinded the people, and so when they blinded the people, Lot, his family, and the two angels of God left the city. And once they left the city, the angels of God instructed them to not look back upon the city. So like they were leaving the city, and they said, do not look, whatever you do not look back upon the city. So Lot's wife disobeyed the angel, and she looked back. And when she looked back, one of the angels wiped the city completely out, with some sort of, some sort of God tier angel ability. They don't say what he did, but he basically wiped the city out. I guess like it would be the equivalent of you set off a nuke or something. He set off what would be the biblical equivalent of a nuclear weapon on a city, and the entire city just was completely annihilated. But like I said, angels are, we don't know how powerful they are. I can tell you what, they can wipe an entire city out with a thought. So they're pretty alpha. I mean, but you got to remember, these beings are sons of God, so they're like nigh omnipotent. I'm guessing nigh omnipotent, demigod, maybe a little bit above a demigod, nigh omnipotent. So the angels wiped the city out, and when they did that, Lot's wife looked back, and when she looked back, because she disobeyed God, I think it was saying that Lot was righteous, but she wasn't righteous. But the reason why she was being saved is because she was his wife. She looked back and she turned to a pillar of salt. So the reason why I bring this story up is because we have to just accept the fact that if you are of God, you're going to have an effect in an evil environment.